Yeah, I don't know. The bond market. I got her to a lot of homework. And I think I did this school, but also just watching it. She's the only one off in the Spanish class. And I got two positions. This class is gonna be too busy.
Okay, so buenos días. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, bien. Gracias. Mucho gusto. That's my, what you got, I've already in my drawing yesterday. Yeah, I mentioned that, before coming to this, I think that I'm not really talented in language. Now I realize I do not. But again, he's a good.
You know two.
At least two, yeah. Buenos días. ¿Cómo estás?
Yeah, two languages.
Oh, two languages. Ada two words.
I feel like if you can figure out English from not being a native speaker, then you can kind of learn anything.
That's,
English sucks.
Okay, now what do you feel about your exam tomorrow?
I feel alright.
Ready? All right? Because ready or not, the exam will be there, so you have to be ready. Now, to help you be ready for the final exams, we will review all our lecture. Especially, we focus on the important things that you have to kind of carry with you, for your life actually, because that's information. If you put it in your brain, it will stay in your brain, and it's part of your, life. Especially if you go to career in science or medicals or any other, natural science, then that information will help you a lot in your career. Now, anybody have question before we start with this review? Okay, if not, then we'll start with the first chapter. Okay.
Can we get our notebooks?
Oh yeah, I forget that. Welcome. That's you, right? Oh, wrong way. That's you. Okay, now for this evolutions class, make sure you know what is evolution itself. What is evolution? What is the definition of evolution? At least there is keyword for that evolution.
The process of change over time.
Over time. Yeah, so in population. So over time, change. It's a mostly gradual change for long period of time. That's evolution. If it is faster, it's called revolution. So therefore you have revolution, evolution. But evolution is long period of time. Changing after a long period of time. And this evolution, will give rise into creation of species, right? From the first ancestor and then common ancestor, it's gonna be create many species. Now, what do you call that process? Creation. Yeah, good job. It's not that difficult, right? Speciation, which is evolution or creation of species. And usually the species will have what we call the common ancestor. What do you call the first ancestor, the first cell ancestor for all the organisms? Protobionts. And these protobionts then will evolve into the first type of organisms, the one that only have one cell without nucleus. What do you call that? Prokaryotes. Good job. And then according to the theory, it say that eukaryotic cells evolve from several prokaryotic cells that combine together, work together, organize together, and finally creating a eukaryotic cell with the nucleus, organelles, and etc. What do you call that theory? Endosymbiotic theory. Good, yes, you're ready, right? Endosymbiotic theory. Now, eukaryotes. These eukaryotes then evolve into different type of eukaryotic groups. What do you call the first or the most primitive groups of eukaryotic organism?
Cyanophyllid.
No, Quanophyllid is part of that one. Protist. Okay, protist. Protist. Okay, so let's say we start with protobiont. Okay, which is one cell. Sometimes there is nothing on it, maybe just, molecules without any organelles, maybe just molecules, and then making the first prokaryote, okay, prokaryotic cell, prokaryote. Now this has, let's say, chromosomes, okay, and then it will kind of going this way, okay, and then it's creating more prokaryotic cell that stay as a prokaryotic cell with one cell unicellular, okay, individual, and this is what we call the bacteria, okay. So bacteria is coming from this common ancestor, but this common ancestor also split into other group, okay. So it's over here, then this one is split again, okay. So this is still prokaryote, but it is kind of more modern than the first prokaryote over here. And then this one still create prokaryote that live in a very extreme environment. What you call that group? Archaea. So you have archaea. Okay. And then the other one split into, this is making, endosymbiotic theory. Okay. Making this eukaryote. Okay. And then split into 4 kind of groups. Okay. Now this group over here, okay, which is consists of organism that cannot really be tell whether it is plant or animal, which is called you have the protist over here. Okay. And then from here it separate again into a group. Let's say this is fungi, right? And then human or animal actually close to fungi, therefore you have animals over here. Okay? And then plants will be kind of a little bit here. Okay? So all of this is a eukaryote, this one is prokaryote. This is kind of the evolutions of this organism. And then give you the tree-like description, or what do you call this? What do you call this picture like this? Diagram. Phylogenetic tree. This is what we call the phylogenetic tree. Okay? And in phylogenetic tree showing us the common ancestors for each branchings of organism or species. Okay? You follow this? Okay, now for this protobionts, then evolution. Who is the father of evolution?
Charles Darwin.
Charles Darwin. Who's the mother? Oh, we don't know because there is nothing say about the mother of evolution. Wallace, yeah. Who was the other scientists that presenting the same natural selections theory in a meeting? It's called the Linnaeus meeting or conference. What is the name of that scientist?
Alfred Russel.
That's the Alfred Russel Wallace. Okay. Okay. Now, who is the name of scientist that also give a theory of natural selection, but he mentions that the acquired characteristic can be inherited shortly. What was his name?
Lamarck.
Lamarck. How you said it? This is a Jean Baptiste Lamarck.
Baptiste Lamarck.
Lamarck, yeah, because this is a France. Yeah, it's a French name. Yeah, so Lamarck. They both have the same idea about natural selection, but different process. How about Darwin? What Darwin say about natural selection? It is work in individual or it is work in population? It is in population. So basically, Lamarck said that the natural selection work in individual. Individual change, then his progeny will also follow him. Right? But Darwin mentioned that force is working in the population. Within population, there is a differences. There is variety. Okay? Okay. So far that. Now, what are the 4 evidence of evolution that we learn? There are actually 5, but in the book, just we mentioned 4 first. What is the first one?
Fossil record.
Fossil record. What is the second one? That's the third one. Anatomy and embryology, right? Which is structure. And that number 3 over there is the biogeography. And then the last one, molecular biology, which is the most modern one. The most modern evidence for evolution, which is telling us the close relationship within species. So species will be classified based on this similarity. Okay, you ready? Now, the first evidence, fossil record. According to fossil records, there are 4 eras. What is the first one? Precambrian. What happened now? What happened during the Precambrian period? You look at here, over here, which is, there is a evolutions of chemical. What? We start with the formations of the earth first, right? When was this happen? The earth created 4.5 billion years ago, or 4,500 million years ago. Yeah, that's when, according to the fossil research, was the first earth formulated or created. And then there is a chemicals evolution during that period, 3.7. It will make a new or a first type of kind of cell, protobionts, and then is created the prokaryote, and then eukaryote, still within the Precambrian period, right? And then it's created many type of primitive protists, even primitive type of fish is also evolved during these pre-Cambrian periods. You follow this? So when is N according to the fossil record? When it is N? So 4.5 billion to 631 or 51? 630. So there's billion year over there, just for the pre-Cambrian period. And then starting from 631 until 250, right?
99.
To
299.
299. Okay, close to 300 million years ago.
51.
I think 251. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, you make me confused. You changed the time scale. Yeah, 251, right. So 631 to 251, that's the second period. What do you call it?
Paleozoic.
Paleozoic. And again, during this time, again, there are many other eukaryotic organisms will be evolving, including the primitive prehistoric fish, including the shark, will be evolved during this time. Okay? And then after that, this is the era that is very, very famous because they make a lot of movie from this era, from 251 until 65 million years ago. What you call that era? Mesozoic. And again, this is starting the mammalian start actually also evolved, but most of them are very small, like just mouse size. But in this era, the dominance is the reptiles. This is the era of reptiles. And all the reptiles on that time is grouped into one group is called dinosaurs, which is a dominant reptile. They are herbivores. They are also the top carnivores, the apex carnivores at the same time, which is the reptiles era, the dinosaurs. 251 until 65 million years ago. What is the name again? Mesozoic. And then after that, the dinosaurs era gone. Now the mammals, plants, especially modern plants, gymnosperm, angiosperms, started to kind of flourish in this era. This is start from 65 until now. What do you call that era? Cenozoic. Including the monkey and the apes developed here. Okay, including one of the ape that considered of the link between ape and modern human. What is name?
Australopithecus
Alpha Arafensis or Miss Lucy. So if you see it in that scale, this Arafensis is on the top of all the apes group. I mean the modern ape groups. Okay, and then human itself, the modern human itself, is considered as evolved about 20,000 to 10,000 years ago. Okay, you have questions so far for this? If you got this one, this fossil record and the time scale, you'll find. Okay. What is the next? Anatomy and embryology. We start with the anatomy first. What anatomy mean? Structure. Does anatomy mean structure? Body structure. Now, classifications, evolution is also based on this similarity within this body structure. The one that's really similar will be in the same group. Plant, they are very similar. They have leaf, they have root. Oh, okay, one plant. Animal, they have legs versus the animal, right? And etc. So based on the similarity of the structure. Now, the close one, the close relative species will have a very similar body structure. What's called the homo. What does homo mean? The same, similar. Okay, so homologous structure. The closest the species, the similar. The more similar the structure gonna be. This is what we call the homologous structure. Now let's say compare all the vertebrae, the vertebrates. There are 5 classes of vertebrates, right? Which is starting from fish until the mammals. Why they are grouped in one group, vertebrate? Anybody know?
Because of their backbone.
They have a backbone. Not only the backbone, they have also skeletons that make from the bones, right? Mostly from the bone. Therefore, they are in the same group because they have bone, vertebrae and other bones. Now, if we see their structure, their bones, they are actually very similar. They are very homologous, the same. Okay, even though their function may be different. The function of the structure may be different, but because the structure are the same, they are considered as close relative species. Example, let's say bird and human. And make it easy, right? Your human bones over here, right? The upper arm or the upper limb consists of bones, humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, right? They're all the same bone with the bird wings. They also have humerus, radius, ulna, carpal. Maybe the phalanges is only one or shorter. Like we have, how many phalanges that we have? Anybody know? Can you count the phalanges over here? How many? No, that's not. That, phalanges.
Oh, phalanges.
Phalanges is mean that the bones of your fingers total. You see? Can you see? This is really easy actually. You know, your thumb has 2, right? The rest has 3. So how many in just one? 14. And then
28.
and then another 14 actually, the same over here. And then another 14.
46.
Yeah. Okay. So 14, 14, 14, 14. So that's the total of our phalanges. But other animals maybe have less phalanges. Therefore, later their classification, they will be also classified based on the number of their tooth or phalanges. There is an animal that have odd number. There are animals that have even number of phalanges or tooth, called the Perissodactyla, Artiodactyla. Okay? But this is just for information. So if you compare within bird and human, we are actually close related based on the structure. What do you call that? Again, the similarity? Homologous structure. So homologous structure showing us close relationship. Now let's say bird and bat, the wing. Do you think they have the same bones type?
No.
Yes, because bat also have humerus, radius, ulna, and etc. Remember, bat is also, what is bat? Mammals, which is vertebrate also, vertebrate. Where was it? Okay, now the function is the same, the structure is the same, but we just look for the structure similarity, homologous. That's telling us close relationship. Now look at compare between butterfly and our upper limb. The same or not? The structure? No, it's not the same. So we are not close with the butterfly. Okay, you get this one? Now, like going a little bit closer, butterfly and bird. Both of them have wings. Do their structure the same? No, because butterfly don't have bone, right? They don't have bone. So they are not homologous structure, but their function is the same, right? For flying. Okay? So the structure that have the same function is called analogous. But analogous mostly will not tell about the close relationship, only the homologous structure. Can you follow this explanation, right? So analogous usually cannot be used as the evidence of close species relationship, only homologous structure. Okay? Hey. Another structure that if the organism never use it for a long period of time, that structure may be still there, but it's not really functional. It's just stay there. What do you call that structure? Vestigial structure. And vestigial structure also give the evidence of evolution. It means that that structure is actually evolved from other structure that is not used. There is evolution of that structure. Get this? That's a vestigial structure. What is example that we have in our class? Appendix in us is telling us we are actually used to be herbivore. We eat herbivore, but now we are changed into omnivore. What else? Tonsil. Is tonsil vestigial structure? I don't think so. Tonsils is part of our immune system. It's not really vestigial, so it's functional. Our tonsil is functional, which is we need it. That's the reason why if you kid, you have infection on your throat, your tonsil will be bigger, because what? That's the place for leukocytes, the white blood cell, fighting the sore throat, the infection. It's functional. Appendix is non-functional. It's still there. That's vestigial structure by definition. In snake, right? The boa constrictor, they still actually have a small leg, but they never use it. It's a vestigial structure. Okay. So vestigial structure is structure that non-functional, but still there. Tonsil is not vestigial structure. Okay. Even the small, maybe. Next, what is next after anatomy? Embryology, right? And again, fish to mammals, when we observe their embryological development, they are very similar. They all start having the gill slits, they have notochord, they have a tail, right? Which is telling us the close relationship between these 5 classes. Plant don't have that one. Therefore, we are separated far away from the plants. We still close with the fish. That's the embryology. What is number 3? Evidence. Biogeographical evidence. Okay, so in this case, what you can tell? What you can tell about the evidence of biogeography? We start with the what is it called? Pangea. And Pangea, in the Pangea, actually, there is a common ancestor for many group of organism. Let's say maybe big cat family, whether tiger, lions, and etc. Maybe they have the same common ancestor, at that time. And then what happened? Split into many continents. Okay, when it is split into many continents, some of group going here, some of other group going here, but they are the same big cat family, right? Let's say the one that go to the Africa, Asia, one big cat family, and then the other one separate, go to the South America, another big cat family, right? And then what happened during 1,000 years on that places, different natural force, natural selection is creating different cat family, even though the same, they are still the same, the whole family of cat, but different species. That's evidence for this evolution. That this group is evolved based on the natural selection happening on that place. The example is again panther. Okay, we use panther as example. What do you call the panther that live in Asia and Africa? The leopard. Okay, that's the leopard. There is also puma, black, what do you call it? Black panther. That's also in Africa. We have a black panther. In the South America, the jaguar family is creating the jaguar, creating the jaguar instead of leopard. But there are still also puma. There is still also black panther and etc. on this place. This is telling us there is a evidence of splittings of environment or habitats causing different speciation because different natural selection, different force. Remember, the force of evolution is, according to Darwin, is only one. What is that? Natural selection. And natural selection can be anything, force in the nature. Okay? Now, Darwin. When Darwin say about evolution, he mentioned about three things. What we call Darwin postulates. What are the three things that he mentioned about natural selections, adaptation, and speciation?
Traits are they have variation.
That's right. There is variation in the trait within the population. And then what happened? This trait is passed into the offspring. And that was number three.
Most offspring will survive and compete for resources.
Yeah, they will produce more offspring than that can be supported by the environment of their habitat. This means that because there will be competition, so more offspring will be produced in order to fight the natural selection. So that's the three postulates. Make sure you know these three postulates, right? Three postulates of Darwin. Okay. What is the next kind of the last evidence for this book?
Biology.
The molecular biology. What does molecular biology mean? Molecule. Yeah, we're using molecule to identify species or organism. There can be any molecules, but the most molecules that being used to identify is, of course, molecule that bring or carry our characters. What do you call that molecules? DNA. Okay? So DNA or gene. So gene is actually sequence of DNA. This is number one, molecular biology. But it can be also used like a protein contents. Okay, different species will have different protein contents. Lipid contents, they're also different. You follow this? In plant, maybe sometimes carbohydrate contents different between different species. But again, the mostly used molecular biology used for evidence of evolution is the DNA, which is the gene, because every species will have different gene. That's the reason why they are different. They are the reason why they are species, because they have different gene. That's the molecular biology evidence. The last one, actually there is another evidence, but this evidence is kind of faster, which is when human actually involve in kind of creating species or maybe breed Sometimes these breeds can be species later. We don't know, right? But this is human involvement in evolution, in choosing of the species or characters. What do you call that?
Artificial selection.
Artificial selection. It can be used also as evidence of evolution. But this case, human, they are choosing what character they wanted instead of natural selection. If artificial selection work, it means that natural selection also work. Natural selection also work. Okay. Do you have questions so far for this? Let's go to the evolution process. Now, speciation. When we talk about speciations, there are two types of speciation. Can anybody tell me what are the two types of speciation?
Sympatric.
Sympatric, what is mean?
Organisms evolve in the same area.
Species involved in the same habitat or the same area. Examples, in our class we use the finches in Galapagos Islands. Good. Okay, the finches is considered is evolved from the same common ancestor. The finch bird that coming from the mainland and stay in Galapagos Islands, and there have a speciations based on the strata of their food. There are the one that's on the top, maybe feeding on nectar, and the flower, become pollinators. There are other that maybe eat on the ants, become ant eater maybe, and there are maybe the one that's in the bottom that eat the seed and etc. It's creating at least there are 5 or 6 different species coming from one common ancestor from the mainland of South America. That's the sympatric. What is the second one?
Sympatric. Sympatric.
Allopatric. Example. What is allopatric first?
Different.
Speciation based on different geographical area. Example, we already mentioned it several times, is the
Different types of tigers.
Tiger, panthers, jaguar, leopard. That's actually allopatric because they live in different biogeographical area. Now they be creating their own species based on this different habitat or ecosystem, natural selection. Okay, speciations again. Now on the speciations, there is speed of speciations. There are 2 types of speed of speciation. If it is slowly, gradually, usually you will have intermediate species within the ancestor and the final species, slowly changing, slowly, gradually changing. What do you call that type of speed?
Gradual speciation.
Gradual speciation. So there is a gradual changing. And again, mostly there will be many fossil of intermediate species between the ancestor and the final species. What is the second one called?
Punctuated equilibrium.
Punctuated. What happened in this one?
Speciation occurs slowly.
Slowly, and then sometimes take a long time to be this, and then after a long time changing into the final species. Sometimes this intermediate you cannot really find it because there are only one type, and then take a long time to actually change. It's not gradual change, but it is what you call this. It's not gradual. It's kind of fast, extreme change from one sort into finally long without any intermediate between them. There is no gradual changing. That's the punctuated speciation. Okay. I think you already have. Okay, now the natural selection type. There are three. If the selections prefer the middle characters, the one that is actually dominant characters, okay, what do you call that? Natural selection. Stabilize, because it stables in the optimum characters. Okay, get it? The second one, if that speciations or natural selection actually select the left side or going to one side, whether to the left or, remember, or, okay, or to the right. Like, for example, maybe pollution that causing changing of population. What do you call that? Natural selection. Changing one direction, left or right.
Direction.
Directional. Good job. Directional natural selection. Number three. Number three is actually prefer the left and the right, which is not optimum on the original population. So at the end, the populations will be dominant in the right and the left characters. The one that used to be optimum is actually become very, very low. What do you call that? Diversifying natural selections. You get this one? That's not that difficult, right? Okay. Now the fossil for the bird. What is the name of the fossil for the link between reptile and the bird? Archaeopteryx. Between fish and amphibian? Tiktaalik. Between reptile and mammalian?
Carno.
No, it's called the therapsid.
Oh.
Therapsids. Therapsid. Okay, therapsid. That's the fossil of reptile that will evolve into mammalians. Therapsid fossil. Now, how about the common ancestor for plant?
Chara species.
Chara, okay, which is green algae. What is the common ancestor for all the animals, which is protozoa? Choanoflagellates. Okay, because you mentioned that. Now I put it back there. Choanoflagellate. Okay. Okay. Now about coevolution. What is coevolution?
Two organisms evolve at the same time.
At the same time, because they
Serve each other.
or depend one another. That's coevolution, right? Example, like many flowers, plants, and the pollinators. Sometimes they evolve together. They depend one another. If one gone, the other will also be gone. That's the coevolution. Now, what is the difference between camouflage and mimicry? What is camouflage? Blending to the environment. What is mimicry? Imitating or copying other organism. That's mimicry, right? So you see the difference, right? Camouflage, blending to the environment. Mimicry, copying or imitating other organism. Mimicry has two types. If it is like helpless helpless animal, but they copying the venomous animal. We call it as Batesian. Okay, so helpless try to be venomous, but they are not venomous. Mimicry. Now, how about they actually all venomous? They're all bad kind of organism, but they mimicry one another, creating a gangster of venomous group that have a very similar what we call it clothing code. Sometimes gangster have the clothing code, right? They're all gangster. They're creating this kind of mimicking one another. Now, what you call that mimicry? Mullerians. Okay, you see the difference, right? Between Batesian and Mullerian. Batesian is helpless, try to be, look like a bad or poisonous or venomous. But the Mullerians, they're all already poisonous, but they're just making gangster group together, making people scared because they know the same color, the same type. What is the difference between venomous and poisonous?
Poison has to be injected, while venom can ingested, while venom has to be injected.
That's right. So venomous mean the animal have the ability to inject or give that poison or toxic into the other animal. Maybe bite it, maybe stink it, inject it, whatever. But the poisonous, they don't have the ability to do that. They just have a toxic on their body. If we touch it or if we eat it, then we have that toxin in our body. Right? They don't have the ability to kind of give that toxin into other organisms. That's the poisonous. Okay. We already mentioned species and hybrid, right? Species. What is species? The definition of species?
Organisms that can
Interbreed and produce the viable offspring. If they cannot do that, then they are different species. What do you call the things that make two different species unable to interbreed? What
barriers.
is called just barriers or isolation, which is consists of two types, pre-zygotic and post-zygotic. Make sure you know this example. Like, for example, there are two crickets that live in different habitats. They cannot meet. What do you call that pre-zygotic barrier? Geographical or habitat barrier. Okay. Let's say there are two types of organisms that have different sexual organs. They cannot meet, they cannot mate because of this different sexual mechanical. What do you call that animal that have a seasonal breeding? Two species, they have different time of breeding. Temporal time. Okay. What do you call the animal that able to mate and produce offspring, but the offspring, the two species were relative species, but the offspring is not viable. It cannot be reproduced. Hybrid in availability. Yeah? So hybrid, which is type of post-zygotic barrier. Okay, if you know that, you will be. What do you call the bird? Sometimes they have different behavior on dancing, mating dance. What do you call that? Pre-zygotic barrier? Behavioral isolation or barrier. Okay, very good. Very good. Okay. What else? Now let's say the biodiversity. Remember, according to the evolutions, according to science, the biodiversity is actually product of evolution. Right? Without evolution, there will be no biodiversity because evolution will create species, which is speciation, and speciation will create these different species. Thus, will give the biodiversity. Okay, start from prokaryotes. Prokaryotes consist of bacteria and archaea. And then protists consists of algae and protozoa. Fungi. There are 4 types of fungi. Zygomycota. What else? Ascomycota, Basidiomycota, Deuteromycota, which different diversity of fungi. The one that we usually see is Basidiomycota. The mushroom, they are in the Basidiomycota groups. That's diversity of fungi. All fungi reproduce by using what? That's their adaptation to their environment. Spores. They're using spore reproduction. And then after fungi, we have plants, right? With plants. What do you call the most primitive plants? There are 3 of them. Non-vascular plants. Non-vascular plants. They don't have vessel. Because they don't have vessels, what is their adaptation? They have to live in the moist area or in water area. Right? They cannot be living in the dry area. What is the second group? Seedless vascular plants. In this case is club mosses and ferns. They still need water. They still need humidity. Because they also still need the water for reproduction, especially gametes, fertilization. Fern. And fern reproduce by seed or by spores? They're still spores. Therefore, it's called a seedless, right? Seedless vascular plant. But they already have vessel. Therefore, they already have leaf. They already have... Let us go. They already have leaf, they already have stem, and they already have the roots. Therefore, they are going to be taller compared to the non-vascular plants, right? They are taller a little bit. Even the prehistoric, the guide talking about the prehistoric fern that is actually tall like a palm tree, right? This is very tall. The prehistoric is actually present during the dinosaurs' time. Now, that's the fern. The next one is called the seed vascular plant, consists of 2 types. The one that reproduce by using cones, that's their adaptation. Cone as their reproductive structure. What you call them? Gymnosperm. Gymnosperm using cones. What is the other one? Angiosperm. Using what? Flowers. Okay. And cone must be separated. There are male and female. Okay. So in the plant, they usually have male cone and female cone really separated. Not the same. They are separated structure. So over there is male cone, over here is female, but within the same plant. Except the ginkgo biloba. The ginkgo biloba, the male cone is in the male plant, and the female cone is in the female plant. So they have separate type of plant based on the cone that they carry. But the other will have the same cone, male and female within the same plant. Now there are 4 of these gymnosperm. What do you call the first one? Conifer. Coniferophyta. What is the second one? Cycad. Actually, again, Marlina have that plant over there, cycad. And then Genetum. Genetophyta. And ginkgo. And again, all of them using cone as their adaptation for reproduction. And the cone carry male and female gametophytes. So they carry the eggs, pollens. Which one carry pollens?
On
Male cones. Okay, male cone. Which one carry sperm? Which one carry eggs? The female cone. And the female cone, they have scale that carry the eggs. Okay. How they pollinate? Wind. Only using wind. They don't care about pollinators. Therefore, they don't have flowers. Right? They don't care. Right? They just use wind. Okay. How about how this plant differs? This dispersal using animal or just wind? Also wind. Okay, they're using wind. Most of the time they have the wing on their seed. Okay. Flowering plants. The female structure. The female part is called what for the flower? Pistil, and the male stamens. Okay. Where the pollen's located?
on the male.
Yeah, what the structure you call it? Anther. Okay. Where the ovules located? In the ovary. The ovary become fruit. The ovule become seed. Alright. What else? I think that's just remember. Make sure you're able to describe some plants, some animals, and then their adaptations, their evolutionary adaptations into their habitats. Make sure you're able to describe that organism. There are some questions will be related to describing plants, animal, their evolution, their adaptation into their habitats. And again, this is part of your assignment already. Yeah, you should be able to put it back into writing in the final exam if it is us. If it is us. All right. Do you have question? If not, just a reminder, your final assignment is due on Thursday. So you still have one more assignment due on Thursday. I will return it back to you, maybe on Friday before leaving the place, or maybe in the airport. You should be able to see your grade. I will tell you your grade on the last day. I believe I should be able to send you your grade the night before we go.
Okay.
The Thursday night. If you give me your assignment on Thursday.
Okay.
Right? You have a good day and see you again tomorrow. Final exam.
So, what exactly do you expect